in building my own house is to fit my cornices. I reckon these things are a much faster and easier way of finishing off the joints between your walls and ceiling rather than just using tape and finishing like you do with a corner. There are endless designs of cornices available, from the fairly basic quarter circle to the most elaborate designs you can imagine. Most of us will choose something in between. But by choosing the right cornice, you can really add to the style and period of your home, whether it's modern, minimalistic, or something old and traditional. So if cornices, or crown mouldings as you Yanks call them, are not standard building practice in your country, I'd recommend you consider them anyway if you're building a house or doing an extension. They add huge value and class to your home. These things are easily cut with a handsaw using a miter box, but rather than using one that you can buy, from experience with renovations I've done, I've learnt to make my own. And there's a couple of advantages in the way that I'll make one, as you'll see. I'm just going to use these scraps of timber to make a really long miter box. A miter box is built at either end of the long plank with supporting sides in between. The width of your long baseboard has to match the width of your cornice. So I've got 75mm cornices and a 75mm piece of pine. These intermediary sides hold the cornices in place while they're cut. Cuts are made using a power saw at 90 degrees, 22.5 degrees and 45 degrees in both directions. Feet are added to make the long miter box more stable. Long lengths of cornice are weak and break very easily, but once they're cradled in this long miter box, they're safe. Perfect cut every time. Non-premix cornice cement is the same as joint filler that you buy in a bag. It's only got a 40-minute work life, so this is the place to start when you're going to be fixing cornices. Because the mix goes off every 40 minutes, you get into that cycle again of having to stop and clean all your tools and so forth. Because of that, you need to have pre-cut lengths of cornices ready to go with the marks on the walls and the nails that will hold them in place, so that you can maximise the work life of your cornice cement mix. To position your cornices on the wall and the ceiling, cut a spacer the same width as your cornice. Mine are 75mm, so I've cut a 75mm spacer out of scrap wood. This will save you a lot of time. And then you just use that spacer to mark 75mm, in my case, down from the ceiling sheet. And then into those pencil marks, put a few nails. You don't need to pick up studs when you're doing this, just going into the plaster will be fine, because these nails aren't going to be holding a lot of weight. To get the length of your cornice, you've now got the nails to guide you, and so you can run your tape underneath the nails, and that'll give you an accurate wall-to-wall measurement of exactly where the cornice is going to go. So in this case it's 1.705. Now what I do is write that 1.705 on the wall. I'll go around and I'll do about 8 to 10 of these so that I've got the nails in position and I've got my widths marked. While I'm up here, I'll also do the corners. So I'll go over here and put marks in the wall and a couple of nails. Anything you can do to save getting up and down a ladder unnecessarily is a good idea. And I'll use these when I put my side pieces in. I've got the cornice sitting in the long mitre box with the ceiling side down the bottom and the wall side up the top. So the cornice is upside down. That's the wall edge. And I'll mark that. Cut the first corner. To make measuring the length easy, I position the end of the pre-cut cornice level with the end of the mitre box. That gives me something to hang the tape onto. And then cut the second end. When cutting your cornice in your mitre box, arrange things so that your saw is cutting into the front of the cornice rather than cutting from the back. The reason is that you'll get a better cut that way. If you have a look at these two here, this cut has been made with the saw coming from the back of the cornice and with the teeth running out through the front. And what happens is the paper just pushes out a little bit. You can see the roughness of that edge. Even though the end is smooth, the surface has got a little ridge on it. Whereas the same angle cut with the saw cutting into the front of the cornice has given me a really clean edge. With powdered cornice cement also having a 30 to 40 minute working life, once again you only mix it in small batches. You want it a bit softer than peanut butter, sort of like almost like whipped cream. Apply about a 10mm bead of cornice cement along both edges of your cornice, wiping off any excess. With cement applied along your cornice, just lift it up over the nails. And push it firmly into place. Having excess squeezing out is a good thing here because it means you get a good, clean, strong joint. Just scrape off the excess joining compound. Wipe off the excess mortar with a damp rag, or since my childhood, a hanky. The more you clean this off, well, if you clean it off properly, you won't need to do any sanding at all. And this also works just a little bit of mortar into the gaps that you might have. Clean your cornice right up with the wet rag. This is the easy way to do it. Then when your cornice, wall and ceiling are fully cleaned up, just put nails in the ceiling, which will stop the cornice moving at all while the cement dries. Now on a long length of cornice, particularly if you're working on your own, you might have to put these top nails in before you do your clean up work if the cornice is in danger of falling out because of its length. You see that's all nice and clean now. Very, very little finishing off to do there. In an ideal world, every corner of every house, both at floor level and ceiling level, would be square. Welcome to the real world. You're going to find when you put a square on your corners that there are variations. You'll get some corners that are dead square and others will be a little bit out. That can be for a whole lot of reasons. It can be because the frames aren't square. It can be because the sheet's pulled in a slightly different direction. What that means is, because you won't build a house where every corner is perfectly square, is that when you cut your cornices at 45 degrees and then butt the second one up, you're going to get variations. So my advice would be, put a cornice on either end of a room where you've just got 4 sides to do, put the 2 ends on, and then test fit the secondary pieces that you put in to make sure the angles line up before you try to fix them with cement, because you'll find that the angles will vary a little bit. You'll need to cut them and trim them to make them fit. There's nothing worse than getting a cornice half up with cement on the back of it and finding it's either too long or it's too short or the angles are wrong. So you're better off, once you've got your first end up, get your second one up dry, cut it, test it, make sure it fits. A really good way of checking your corners before you put matching pieces up is to get an offcut with a 45-degree cut on it and just put it in place and see how it fits, and you'll see whether it's going to work or not. In this case, I got my mark here at 75mm, and when I put this cornice in, it doesn't line up at the top or the bottom. For some reason, it needs to come down about 4mm to line up. It's better to find this out now rather than when I've got a full length of this covered in cornice cement and I'm trying to get the thing in and I don't know why. So just take your time and do it slowly. You can't rush this job if you want neat corners, and it is inevitable that you're going to have patching to do in your corners. Putting cornice cement on this way does work. It's very old school. It can be clumsy and slow. Let me show you 3 better ways of doing this job. Take your favourite tomato sauce bottle, unscrew the nozzle and remove the adjusting neck. Like so. Now get rid of that bit of plastic on the end and open the hole up. So now you've got a nice non-adjustable nozzle, and we'll use that with the sauce bottle to put our cornice cement on. Mix up enough cornice cement to pretty much fill your bottle and make it runnier than usual. It's about not quite the consistency of mayo, but you'll work out the right thickness when you see what I'm doing with this. Now fill your sauce bottle with your sloppy Cornice cement using a funnel. If you can't get your mix into the bottle through the funnel, it's too thick. Put on your cap and let's see if it'll work. Now just squeeze the sauce bottle. Oh, look at that. It's working. And you get a nice bead of Cornice cement. No mix, no waste. With a bit of practice, I reckon I can get it right on the edge where it needs to be. So that's my first idea, a sauce bottle. And what do you know, it works. The big advantage of the Bill Pearson Cornice cement tomato sauce bottle applicator method is that it's thoroughly disposable. So if you collect, say, 10 of these from yourself and your friends before you start your gyprocking, you can use them as a disposable tool. If they clog, you just throw them away. You don't have to clean them as often as normal. Winner, winner. Now, if the average man eats 2 steaks a week and has friends around, say 4 friends around on a Friday night, that's what, 6 steaks a week, and if it takes a quarter of a bottle of tomato sauce to serve those steaks and sausages, then it will take a month to get an empty sauce bottle, which means to get 10 sauce bottles, you probably, if you're just doing it on your own, you're going to have to save sauce bottles for 10 months. I thought you'd be interested in the mathematics of that. Just for the record, these tops of the sauce bottles fit other bottles as well, like this milk container. So if you experiment, you'll find that they'll go on other bottles, and you can save them as well, save yourself time saving bottles, and all you've got to do is change nozzles. You don't even have to clean the bottles out. Just swap the nozzle from bottle to bottle. My next idea is a radical one. Will probably bring down the anger of professional gyprockers worldwide on me, but anyway, here goes nothing. Don't use Cornice cement. Use gap filler. It's water based, so it's easy cleanup, and I know from experience this stuff really sticks. If you've ever tried to undo a join that you've used this stuff on, you'll know that it's a really strong adhesive. Why don't the manufacturers make Cornice cement with tubes for these guns? So there we go, all loaded up with no more gaps, and up she goes. What if we could get something like this on a much bigger scale that's specifically designed to take Cornice cement? Yeah, baby. Get a load of this. This is a professional Cornice applicator. It's like a giant yabby pump. Just a big hollow tube, and it's got this nozzle on the end, a little bit bigger than the sauce bottle, and you can buy and fit various heads to this to do various jobs. You can get heads for the corners, you get heads for the cornices. Now this is the particular head that I bought for this tool. It's a 75mm Cornice head. It's designed to put 2 beads of Cornice cement on your wall, and it's specifically designed, this particular one, for 75mm cornices. just clips on to the pump. Let's see what this little baby will do. To say I'm disappointed with how this tool performed would be an underestimation. When I found it, I thought it's the bee's knees, it'll be a great tool. Now in the hands of a professional, using it day in, day out, there's no doubt about it. I was warned by the CSR gyprock suppliers that the tools that are similar to this you can get, which are just like a square box for putting mud on your joints, are difficult to use. So is this. If you don't have your mix just right, you get a mess all over the wall, or you can't pump it out. If it's too thin, you get the joining compound running down the wall, and if it's too thick, you're pushing like buggery and you can't get the mix out. Ask me how I know this. It's also extremely difficult to clean. The whole time you're using it, you're worried that the mix is going to go off, and I damn near had that happen with this, and I only put up two small pieces of Cornices. I don't know whether you can see it, but I got absolutely saturated cleaning this with a hose, because there's so many curved edges on it, the water just goes all over the place. So I am really disappointed in this tool. My advice would be, eat lots of tomato sauce. I'm going back to the bottles. I think that's the easiest way to do it. Too hard to use, too messy, miles more cleaner, and too friggin' expensive. No deal.